Wait. So Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks is now aligned on a number of topics with MAGA? Of course! What's going on, everybody? It's man Nicholas Bowling. Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a minute. I have not uploaded a political commentary video in a long time because I've been doing other things. I'm doing documentaries over on the True Crime channel, Staircase Stories with my cousin. Got a new documentary coming out probably in a couple of months. I'm thinking March 24th. That's the anniversary of the case. If you want to check it out, go check it out down below. But we got to talk about Cenk Uygur and his recent not change, but kind of shift in strategy. I don't think he's made a big change as far as shifting his ideology or grifting for views because his clicks are down and all that. I don't think that's the case. We're going to talk about it here. I was out of politics for a long time. I have not followed politics for a while. After the 2020 election, after all those shenanigans, which we can't talk about. But after the 2024 election, when Trump won by a huge landslide, obviously, in Republicans' huge, devastating victories. Same thing in 2016. I went around to the lefty channels like David Pakman and Kyle Kulinski, whatever his name is, and TYT, because I wanted to see what they were up to and what they were talking about. And honestly, I wanted to see the meltdowns. These other channels did have meltdowns. There's compilations all over the place online, and it's hella entertaining. But TYT did something a little different because Anna Kasparian, the co-host for TYT, has actually had a shift in ideology, kind of. And when people say there's a shift in ideology, a lot of people say, well, you changed your tune because you guys were losing. That's why. But I don't believe that. And we're going to get into that in a little bit here. But she was attacked by some homeless guy on the street when taking her dog out. I'm sure you guys already know this, but just a brief background of what happened. Basically, she was out walking her dog and a homeless guy SA'd her. And she went on to talk about it, to try to bring awareness to this and kind of not get sympathy. But from what I gather, she was trying to kind of cleanse herself of this, talk about it publicly. And this is what she does. She's a talk show host. So I don't think that's strange. And then she says that the left has started just attacking her. You don't care about homeless people. You're privileged, all this stuff. And she said, wait a second. I've been on your side this whole time and you're attacking me because I was attacked. So that's when her shift kind of started. But that's not what the topic of the video is. The topic is Cenk. Now, Cenk he has been a radical leftist for a long time. I'm talking about nonstop racism, police brutality, defund the police, all this sort of stuff. AOC. He helped get her elected, the squad, all that. So he's pretty radical. But this time around, he was saying some things that made sense. Instead of focusing on the 2016 like he did back then, and Anna as well, saying, Trump voters are dumb, they're racist. You voted for Trump, I don't care about you.
I have no respect for women who voted for Trump, okay?
Yeah, me too.
I think so poorly of them, and the reason why is because, look, I don't think that you're a single issue voter. I just think you're dumb.
This time, he was focusing on the Democrats and how stupid they were about this stuff and how pathetic they are, which makes a lot of sense. They go on and on and on about how he's this, how he's that, how he's dumb, how he's racist, how he's this, he's that. But you just lost to him twice, maybe 3 times, but we won't talk about that. You just lost to him twice. So what does that make you? That's a great point. I'm glad he's saying that. Instead of attacking me and these other MAGA voters, he's attacking the Democrats. So I'm like, okay. And of course, after I checked that out, I continuously kind of looked at it every few days to see what they're talking about. Because unlike some people on the right, I like to hear opposition. I don't like to live in echo chambers. I like to go on CNN. I like to go on MSNBC. I don't agree with 95% of what they say, probably even more than that. But I don't want to just watch Tucker Carlson or Alex Jones or Tim Pool all these guys and Tim Pool's not right wing, but you know what I'm saying. So I really wanted to check this out, and I checked in some of these channels, and of course now my stupid feed now is infected with Kyle Kalinske and what's his name, David Pakman and some other people, which is hilarious. But TYT kept coming up because I was checking in on them. Algorithms like, you like Cenk Uygur now, TYT? Of course, here's all these videos. But something interesting happened. So he went on this kind of like tour type thing where he went on all these right-wing shows. And again, Tim Pool's not right-wing, but you get the point. Patrick Bet-David, Tim Pool, The Hill with that Robbie guy who's pretty cool. I like him. And a variety of other shows. And was like talking about how bad the Democrats were and how they lost and how he wants to basically nuke the Democrats and start a new sort of left-wing revolt, populist. That's all you keep hearing. Populist, populism, populist. And I'm a populist myself, so I'm like, okay. So those interviews started popping up in my feed, and I watched all of them, all of his interviews. I watched them, and I was like, okay. So his strategy is not that I'm Team MAGA now. Well, actually, let me back up. So he posted a tweet saying that MAGA is not my mortal enemy. I woke up today, which is a few days or a day after the election, and I don't feel terrible. I realize now MAGA is not my mortal enemy. It's the establishment, corporate Democrats and Republicans, which, hey, man, you preach it, baby. That's what I'm talking about. The establishment is enemy number one in my eyes. There's things that he was on the shows talking about stuff, and stuff I disagreed with, Fauci not being, shouldn't be arrested, January 6th was Trump's fault, which I completely disagree with. After the research I did through my COVID documentary, The Big Jab, which is available free on this channel, highly censored, he definitely deserves to be in prison. And he said, no, I don't think so. He's dead wrong on that. But hey, I'll give you a pass. His way of thinking now, from what I gather, and a lot of people on the right, people I like, Matt Walsh and all these other guys, came out and said, this is BS. Don't believe him. His clicks are down. His views are down. He wants to try and grift to the right a little bit so that MAGA will start watching his stuff. And if that's the case, I definitely fell for it. But I don't think that's the case, because if you look at the core of what he's saying, he hasn't changed on much. He is an anti-establishment guy. He's been for a long, long time. And I'm not even a TYT subscriber or loyal watcher, but I know that. I know he's anti-establishment, etc. Anti-mainstream media, all that sort of stuff. And one of his biggest talking points, which I completely agree with, is getting basically legal bribery out of politics. People can give a whole bunch of money to somebody and they do all these sorts of favors, and Trump's guilty of that as well. That's what his main thing is. And what he's saying is, let's stop talking about these wedge issues, trans rights and, all that sort of stuff. This issues that honestly I'm passionate about. They don't really affect me every day personally. I'm more concerned about taxes, corporate greed, big pharma, corruption, all that sort of stuff. And he's saying, instead of talking about these wedge issues that we will never agree on, let's shift and talk about some of these issues that we do agree on. And instead of fighting with each other, let's come together and fight them together. Because obviously, if we come together, we're going to be unstoppable. And then after, we could talk about all these issues and all that sort of stuff. Which I'm like, wow, this makes a lot of sense. And then I see a lot of people coming out and saying that he's a grifter. Like I said, his views are down. And Matt Walsh came out with this big video, 20-minute segment talking about he doesn't buy it, yada, yada. And I'm like, wait, so isn't this the whole point of what we do? Especially these big channels and that do these debates and all this. Isn't that what we want to do? Is the whole point of what we're doing here and having debates and going back and forth is because we want people to see our side, because we think we're right. We think we're right in what we're saying. So we want to convince them, and maybe not even them, but maybe the people watching, to convince to come to our side because we're right. So now we have one of the leaders on the left saying I agree with cutting the Pentagon and doing all this stuff and going after bribery and corruption. And we're like, no. He's a grifter. Don't listen to him. He's a scumbag. He's a grifter. But if you go back, he's talking about the same things. He's just changing his approach. He's not changing his ideology. He's changing his approach. And at the end of the day, I know he's called MAGA racist voters, and I get that. And that he has changed his tune on. But he's at least coming out and saying, I'm realizing now that I was wrong and MAGA's not my enemy. So I thought that was the whole point of what we're doing, is trying to convince people to come to our side because we're right. But when it happens, they're grifters. I'm all for Cenk, not even coming to the right, obviously, but I'm all for Cenk trying to unite us, the left and right, in kind of pinpointing at one specific target, which is corruption, and the establishment. I'm all for that, man. I mean, I don't see how anyone can say otherwise. Now, if it comes out later, he's lying or he goes back to the old ways, calling us racist, then at that point, okay, I get it. But if he's saying all the right stuff right now, go into it with your eyes wide open, but give him a shot here. I think it's counterproductive if he's saying, let's come together and fight the establishment and corruption, and we're saying, no, I don't want to do that because you're lying. You're a grifter. I think that's really stupid. And one more thing before I go. I want to kind of have a challenge here to Cenk and Alex Jones, who has been on this broadcast, this show before on my channel. I've met him, hung out with him. Great guy. They have said really nasty things to each other back and forth. My phone's almost dead, so I got to hurry here. But they need to come together and do an interview because Cenk's going on all these right-wing shows and talking unity. The best way to prove that you're real about this is to go on Alex Jones or have Alex Jones on your show or come on somebody else's show and moderate and have somebody moderate. Don't talk about Sandy Hook. Don't talk about, all these other stupid issues. Talk about uniting on these very few topics. That's what you do to prove that you're real. You say, you put aside your differences, which is what you've been preaching, Cenk. And I know Alex would be down for this. I know he would. And if he isn't, then that's going to be on him. But I know he'd be down for this. If you want to preach unity and everything, put your money where your mouth is and unite with one of the leading icons on the conservative movement, and that's Alex Jones. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Got a lot more stuff to come since I'm re-energized for politics. Peace out. God bless. And have a Merry Christmas. Thank you.